He also claimed that Bishop Azad Marshall was appointed as Bishop of Raivan Diocese in an unconstitutional move, and his appointment was illegal as he was already holding the position of Bishop of Gulf Diocese at that time. He emphasized that as per the rule, a bishop cannot hold more than one position at a time, whereas Bishop Azad Marshall is actively heading two dioceses without any check. It was also highlighted that Bishop Azad Marshall had allegedly bribed his way to the position of Raivan Diocese at the time of PMLN government when Senator Kamran Michael was serving as federal minister. Bishop Azad Marshall is said to have received heavy financial favors from Senator Kamran Michael under the garb of church projects that he has misused for his personal gains.
Red Zone with Sajid Isaac. Good afternoon, viewers. Sajid Isaac with Red Zone is here with you today. We are here with the High Commissioner of Sri Lanka to offer our condolences on behalf of the Pakistani community. We have seen the recent tragic attacks on Sri Lankan Christians while they were performing their Easter services on April 21st, 2019. There were around 8 attacks, consecutive attacks in one day, where we have lost more than 350 precious lives. And today we are here to speak on this incident and also share the condolences of Pakistani community and Christians of Pakistan. As you know, it is an international wave of terrorism, and they use religion to justify their violence, to justify their hatred, to justify injustices, but in reality, no religion teaches violence, no religion teaches killing of innocent people. So today, we will speak with the High Commissioner, His Excellency Nuruddin Muhammad Shahid, and we will learn from him what Sri Lankan government is actually thinking to combat with terrorists. Today, the whole world is standing beside Sri Lankan nation, and we pray for the departed souls that they may get eternal peace. And we also remember the victim families who have lost their dear ones and near ones. It is time to reflect on our deeds, what we are contributing to bring in peace, interfaith harmony, equality, justice in this world. It is not only the Sri Lanka who is under attack, it is the world at large, because we all live in a global village. Now I would like to welcome on our show His Excellency Nuruddin Muhammad Shahid. Thank you very much, sir, for giving us time, and please accept our condolences on behalf of the Pakistani community, Pakistani nation. It is not only the Pakistanis living in the country, but all over the world that they are settled. We are really saddened on this tragic incident that took place on a very special day, which is very sacred for Christians, Easter. And more than 350 people lost their precious lives, and many families have lost their loved ones and dear ones. We are really sorry, but we are here to tell you that we are standing with you to combat terrorism, because it's an international wave, it's a worldwide wave now. And I believe that no religion teaches hatred, no religion teaches killing innocent people. So,
terrorism has no face, terrorism has no religion.
True, indeed. So we would like to know right now the situation back in your country, how people are, responding and how government is responding to this incident?
Well, as you correctly said, it is a tragic incident, something which was never expected by any Sri Lankan after the end of war. And as you know, Sri Lanka is a multi-religious, multi-racial, multi-ethnic, multilingual country where the unity in diversity is the concept of our country, where people of different religion, different language, different race, different faith,
True.
we all live together. And there may have been small incidents which is very normal in any country, but other than that we never had any serious problems as such. After the long drawn conflict which went on for about 30 years in Sri Lanka,
Correct.
and for the last 10 years the country was very peaceful and the economy was on full swing, you know. And the tourism was booming, and development was being carried out in a rapid pace. So, in these circumstances, this incident has taken place. So, all what I can say is that this is really tragic, and nobody expected a kind of thing like this to happen. And especially on a Easter Sunday, because the Christian community in Sri Lanka has been a very peaceful community, and they have coexisted with other communities for a longer period of time. I think they are about 6 to 7%
Of the population.
in the total population, and they represent both Tamil and Tamil-speaking Christians you get, and you get Sinhala-speaking Christians. So they were like a bridge, you know, when there is an issue, perhaps they have been through the teaching of the faith, and they have been always trying to build a bridge between the other communities as well. So they had never been a controversial community in Sri Lanka.
So this is the first time that Christians been attacked?
There would have been a small, minor incidents here and there, you know, that crops up due to personal, you know,
grudges
and all that, but never in the history where the Christian community had been targeted like this.
Your Excellency, what could be the motive behind attacking Christians and on this Easter day?
Well, that's a mystery, because why Christians? Why should they be attacked on a very important day, which is being celebrated by them in terms of their religious belief? It's a mystery. I think the intelligence will have to go into the matter, and then they will have to find out what was the motive behind. But nobody knows what was the motive behind.
What is the motive behind?
What is behind? No, I don't.
It is just to spread hatred and terrorism. There is a debate going on in your country that there was an intelligence report beforehand that these kind of suicide attacks could take place. But do you think it's a failure of your intelligence or failure of the law enforcement agencies there?
Well, when an incident takes place like this, you get various kinds of opinion expressed by political parties, civil society, and other groups. So, what I can see is that I also see from the news and media that some information had been there, and whether the intelligence had not acted upon it. So that's an allegation being made, and the president also has taken some drastic steps, requesting the defense secretary to resign, and the defense secretary has resigned, taking the blame upon himself, and IGP also has been requested. I read all these from the newspapers because I'm away from my country. But all what I'm saying is that one has to wait to get at the truth. because I feel that this cannot be done by a smaller group which they have identified.
They have
as
accepted the responsibility, taken the responsibility, but do you think that particular small group has the capacity to perform such a big event?
But that's my question as well, because this smaller group or a little known group or an unknown group, could it have the capacity of this kind of magnitude or a scale
Oh, yes.
of attack? It's little difficult to believe that smaller group could have done it.
So do you think there are
I think
actors behind this?
There may be some larger group behind them.
ISIS
And who
also says that they have.
Well, ISIS, but as far as I'm concerned, but I have seen some of those attacks by ISIS group, but they used to take responsibility immediately after the incident. But in this instance, they had to wait about 72 hours.
72 hours.
So that is a matter. That is also another matter which has to be taken into consideration, whether in fact ISIS is responsible. Or where any other organizations perhaps may have done it, but then when they found that nobody was coming forward to take responsibility for about 72 hours, for 3 days,
Exactly.
and then they're trying to put it on another group. But it is yet to be known. I think Sri Lankan intelligence are very smart, because we fought a war for
That's
about
right, from 83 to 2009.
onwards for 30 years, and ultimately we were successful in defeating
Yes.
terrorism. If there was a country in the world which has completely wiped out terrorism, that's Sri Lanka.
Yes.
So we have enough experience in taking on this kind of matters. But this is not something which we have come across for the first time.
Correct.
We have experienced it. We have faced it. So Sri Lanka will be able to take this also as a challenge and see that
It
they
is
will
a
get to the
challenge,
bottom,
yeah.
and then they will find out the truth and who is really behind it.
It seems very, very planned, because it's consecutive attacks on hotels and 3 churches and all. And it was like, the intelligence couldn't actually, react even after the first incident took place.
Well, this is where one has to focus the inquisitive mind, if I may call it, because it looks like well sophisticated and very well coordinated.
Yes.
If you look at the time, you look at the magnitude of that attack, and the timing, and the number of people who got involved in this attack, some 8 suicide bombers.
Yeah, and one of them was a lady.
But it has not yet been identified. But they say there are about 8 people, and they have identified some of the bodies. So what I'm trying to say is that it is very well planned. To do a kind of thing of this nature, you need a lot of preparations, and you need a lot of planning, and financing, all that. So the investigations will have to unearth whether they had the capacity, as you correctly said, to execute this kind of attack.
Correct. And one is very visible observation, I would say, that they were not illiterate people. They were qualified people, even graduated from Britain and Australia, but they were Sri Lankans, isn't it?
True. I think the information that is now available, the investigation that has been carried out by the Sri Lankan intelligence, it looks like that the people who have got involved are people not coming from secular or religious or madrasa kind of education. People have good
Proper
exposure,
degrees, that's right.
and they have studied abroad, and they have a degree and all.
And they are not poor, actually.
They're not poor. So they come from a quite affluent family. So this is something which is strange.
Yet to be,
So you cannot sit for a normal brain. You cannot simply come out, or even you cannot imagine what would have been the reason. So I think the intelligence and the people who really want to know what really behind it, we'll have to find out, we'll have to collect the evidence as to why this kind of mindset from people who are educated, if that is correct.
One positive notion and the gesture came from your country. It's not that they just put blame on the neighboring countries, as we have seen in Indians attack, and they just put blame on Pakistan without going into the investigation. But I think this is very good and positive gesture came from your side, as you have just said, that wait till the investigation is complete, then we could put the responsibility on others. If we come back to...
anyway, I also don't believe in this blame game, you know.
Correct.
It's a very popular term used these days. You pass the buck and you just, whenever, immediately after the incident, they come out of a theory, right, so-and-so is involved or such and such a country is behind it or whatever. You know, I don't believe in the blame game until we know exactly the reason behind it.
And I think the government and the diplomatic corps has played very good role, that they stayed calm, positive, and they are going into the deep investigations.
Well, because the government has taken immediate steps to condemn the act and also to curtail or to see that there is peace in the country. But there was no repercussions immediately after the incident in Sri Lanka. And there would have been some perhaps commotion, people out of fear and apprehension. But of course, there was no serious incidents between the communities or whatever. So that shows that the government has taken extreme measures to see that the law and order situation in the country is up to date. On the other hand, I also feel that the cardinal, the Archbishop of Sri Lanka, has been an exemplary person, and the statements that he made, the speeches that he made after the incident, really attracted the minds of the people. I mean, you know, he really addressed to the brain, straight to the head of the people, that this is, you cannot simply point or pass the blame to a particular community until you find out the truth.
Indeed.
So indeed, I think hats off to him, and he really played a vital role in keeping the turbulent situation in the country under control.
Yeah, and the state and the cardinal and the archbishop